gooch again. Oh fuck. Hey guys, we're back with an exciting update for the Charvel Star build. A couple of packages arrived and we're now finally ready to kick this build off. Firstly, this big sucker. Massive thanks to KnE Guitars for building this custom body for me. They're located in California and do some really nice work. I'll link their website below, check it out. Wow. Here it is, KnE Star Body. Made out of mahogany and rated for a single humbucking pickup. KnE did an amazing job on this. Craftsmanship and routing all looks spot on. What I'm really impressed with and when they got everything bang on was the fact that they were able to make this 1980s Charvel neck suit the pocket route for the body perfectly, using basically nothing but their knowledge, their expertise, and a couple measurements I sent them over the internet. Looking at this, here's the screw holes line up almost bang on. You really got to give them props for that. The second part where they really shined was this bridge route. Now, this was a two-part effort between KnE Guitars and a machinist that goes by Mr. Machinist 1 on eBay called Will Sautner. He made for me a custom Stars bridge out of solid brass. These pieces of chunky, heavy-duty hardware were used predominantly during the 70s and the 80s by artists such as Kirk Hammett from Metallica and Jerry Garcia of the Grateful Dead. Got a soft spot for the really chunky, heavy-duty hardware used in the 80s. I thought it would fit in well for this style of body, as well as the rest of the bits and pieces for this build. I had it machined for a custom 18-inch radius to follow the compound fretboard of the Charvel neck. Once that was machined and made up, it was sent off to KnE Guitars, where the body was drilled and routed to have the bridge sitting nice and low for maximum comfort and playability. Sticking with the theme of this build, I've opted for raw, unplated brass hardware where possible, or if unplated brass is hard to source, which sometimes is, I've gone for gold as an alternative. I managed to track down a really lovely hand machined brass control knob to control the single CTS volume pot that we will be wiring up in some sort of push-pull configuration, just to give this one pickup instrument a bit of extra versatility. It'll be voiced, as I showed in my prior video, by Damasio Super Distortion pickup, classic pickup for metal, hard rock, blues, pretty well anything, and sort of period correct with everything else. Similar to the Maton build, check it out. I've opted for some Goto built tuners in gold, and holding it all together, we'll be going with a gold Charvel neck plate. First things first, we need to prep this body for some paint. Start off by giving it a really good sand, and due to the open grain nature of the mahogany, we'll then hit it up with a couple coats of Feast Watson sanding sealer. We'll then sand that back again, and that will give the paint a really beautiful, nice, smooth, flat surface to adhere to. Let's get into it. So with the supervisor on deck, the work commences. We carefully and precisely get into sanding. Very precise. Building guitars is cool and all, but what they don't tell you is about 80% of it is sanding. Oh fuck. 10% is priming and prepping things. The last 10% is getting sawdust out of various orifices. Everything was going well up until... Oh. It's been an interesting week. I've had my tripod, microphone and phone shit itself, so totally new setup. So apologies in advance for the change in quality. Brain is getting sort of filled slowly. I noticed on the back there was a small ding that we'll need to address. Probably hit that up with a bit of wood filler and carry on as we were. before I go too much crazier, I'll address that little crack. Give it a bloody putty. Using timber, mate. Oh my god. And a tiny bloody bit. Just enough to feel that particular little deep indentation. Now, give it a hot minute to dry, and then we'll sand that flat.
The next day.
Right, so we've given the filler a bit of time to dry. It's the fun part. More sanding. Yeah, so off camera, while using the putty, add a little bit of water to it just to thin it out a little bit. Help sort of push it into the grain of the timber more. On the container it calls from 10 to 15% water. I just gave it a spritz. Imperial or metric spritz, I don't know, it's up to you. Why am I making a guitar of this shape? Why have I wanted one for so long? Feels like old, I suppose. Nowadays it'd be considered old, but I've always loved hard rock and from the very late 70s / bulk of the 80s. The Van Halens, I've always loved your Van Halen. White Snake, you know, Rat and later Skid Row and Metallica and Megadeth, and you know the bands. I suppose inherently not all good. I do love a lot of the shredding and the technical playing. Wowed me when I was younger, wows me now. You know, Star, Chris Holmes, nowadays, buddy, Gus G, Eddie Van Halen with his black and white one. Just sort of embodies and encapsulates that aesthetic as a whole. It's, you know, it's a bit out there. Well, it's very out there. It's not so aggressive and pointy, you know, like most of your, well, not most, like a lot of your metal pointy shapes nowadays. You know, top half looks explorer. Something kind of timeless about, you know, about the overall shape. Sort of reminds me of a lot of fun times I've had with a lot of music. All the stories and good memories associated with that. Getting that bloody gooch again. We've seen that with the 320. It feels very smooth all around. You can see the little pores in the grain have been filled. So I was trying to tape up the neck pocket and the cavities, and it is, yeah, ready for primer and paint.
Here we're taping up the routs in the body. This serves two purposes. First, stops paint getting into spots it shouldn't, like the neck pocket and the control cavity. The thickness of the paint and clear mess up the fitment of the neck and the colour. No bueno. Secondly, all that thick paint everywhere can make things look a little bit shit. Like this nice beautiful bridge cavity. and ultimately, we don't want it to look shit. Here it is, all sanded, sealed, prepped and taped, and nearly ready to rock.
Alright, so this body is now sanded, sealed and ready for some paint. Very special colour, I've mixed it up myself. I'm ready to kick off the next stage of this build. Stay tuned for more.
So a few weeks and one haircut later, here it is.